Isaiah Mack, they elevated him from the practice squad to the 53-man roster. He is a defensive tackle, and he is active today. Let's dive deeper into the injuries with Dr. Scott Adams.
Injury Report is brought to you by Orthopedic Associates of Central Maryland. In pain? Contact the experts at Orthopedic Associates of Central Maryland at mdbonedocs.com. Care this good feels good to the bone. Injury Report.
Doc, Tyler Huntley, he was limited in practice Wednesday and Thursday due to shoulder tendonitis, and that is his throwing shoulder. He experienced that during training camp, which he mentioned during his press conference. I guess, what could he be experiencing today? Because it is his throwing shoulder.
Sure. First of all, it doesn't sound like it's all that serious or important an injury. It's not uncommon for people that do overhead sports or repetitive motions to get something like a bicep tendonitis, which would probably be the most likely explanation for this. This is a very common finding in the shoulder. It's very common in really all occupations and all sports and all hobbies. And it's one of those conditions where you can probably play through it even with something as simple as some anti-inflammatories, and usually you can manage it conservatively and take rest and take a day off, and usually it's enough to get you through the game. So I really don't think it's going to be a big thing. Plenty of folks have had bicep tendonitis, and that would be my guess as to what he's dealing with.
Hey, Doc, let me ask you this, because, below zero or whatever, close to that, you got the guys like Dobbins and Edwards. How does that cold weather affect them, especially, to get their legs loose and when you go stand over on the sidelines, get back and ready to go?
Sure, yeah, it just makes everything harder. It's going to be ever more important for a good warm-up, get the muscles warm, but also to stay that way through the game. That's going to be the hard part. They have this big time before the game to run around and stretch and do what they need to do to get ready for the game. But once it starts and then they're on that sideline, it's going to be key to stay active, stay moving, stay warm, so that those muscles and joints don't get cold and stiff. Some of these guys that are nursing an injury, it just makes it a little bit harder when it's this cold out, because something that was stiff in the locker room for sure is going to feel stiff out on the cold field. So with the help of the trainers and then them just being professionals, they should know what to do, and they just need to stay active, and it should be okay.
Sticking with that, Doc, during the heat, you're more susceptible to cramps. Is the cold, is it different? Do you suffer cramps? Is it more pulls?
Yeah, I think, less of a cramping issue and just more of anything that maybe would just be a little sore when it was warm. I just think is going to be worse when it's cold. So if you get hit, it's going to hurt more. You get tackled and you hit that cold turf, it's going to hurt more. Just trying to breathe in this really cold air just kind of makes the lungs burn a little bit more. So it is just a bit more of a grind, especially if you're nursing an injury. But again, as long as they take the proper steps, their risk of injury can still be low. But if they have one, it's just going to be all the more trouble for them to kind of get ready to perform.
Hey, Doc, how many week injury did you think Lamar's was? Because he's, 3 now, and he hadn't practiced in 3. So do you see him being able to play in another week? Or because I read some report that, if they clinch the playoff, he wouldn't play next week.
Yeah, great question. I think the whole 1 to 3 weeks was a bit of a gamesmanship from the start. I mean, typically this is at least a 4 to 6 week injury. Some PCL injuries on the higher grade can honestly take 3 months to get over, but it just sounded like his wasn't that severe. But when I saw the play and then we heard that it was a PCL, my thought was more on the 4 to 6 week time frame than 1 to 3.
He's Dr. Scott Adams, joins us every week. Doc, thanks so much.
Great. Thank you, guys.
All right, Doc.
See ya.
Enjoy the game.
Coming up next, it's climbing the depth chart. Defensive line took a hit. No Calais Campbell. Who's going to step up in his absence? And we're also going to go behind enemy